Okay, so this is from the New York Times. It's a transcript of President Biden's remarks on Afghanistan. Here's an excerpt. American troops cannot and should not be fighting in a war and dying in a war in a war that Afghan forces are not willing to fight for themselves. We spent over $1 trillion. We trained and equipped an Afghan military force of some 300,000 strong, incredibly well equipped. A force larger in size than the militaries of many of our NATO allies. We gave them every tool they could need. We paid their salaries, provided for the maintenance of their air force, something the Taliban doesn't have. Taliban does not have an air force. We provided close air support. We gave them every chance to determine their own future. So what this is pointing out is that really America did not abandon Afghanistan. Afghanistan abandoned itself. The people were not willing to fight for their freedom.
But Taiwan is not the case.
Right. Taiwan is definitely willing to fight for its freedom. So I think China knows this, and I think they know better than to try to invade Taiwan, because they know that the Taiwanese people will fight for their country, and they know that America will fight for Taiwan. Hello, thank you for watching Jason Adam TV on YouTube. If you haven't, please subscribe to our channel, share the link, and give us a thumbs up, and leave comments in the comment section below. Alright, today's topic is about why the U.S. will not abandon Taiwan. In the news lately, I've heard many articles stating that Taiwan should be worried because of what's going on in Afghanistan, and that it's possible that the U.S. might look the other way or ignore if China were to invade Taiwan. And this is utterly ridiculous. The idea that the U.S. will abandon Taiwan is ridiculous, and China knows this. The reason why they're pushing this narrative is they want to make the Taiwanese people afraid. They want the Taiwanese people to think that the U.S. would abandon them in their time of need. But nothing could be further from the truth. And let me tell you why. Taiwan makes 92% of the world's most sophisticated semiconductors. Specifically, TSMC, or Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, makes 92% of the world's most sophisticated semiconductors. TSMC is the 11th most valuable company in the world, and they're going to start mass production of 3 nanometer chips next year. And these are the chips that will be going into all the new top-of-the-line phones and computers. So, as far as I know, no other company in the world has the technology to do this. The world relies on Taiwan's semiconductors. According to CNBC in an April 13th, 2021 article, U.S. tech firms rely on Taiwanese contract manufacturers to produce up to 90% of their computer chips. This is according to Sebastian Ho from CLSA. And according to the Wall Street Journal, the situation is similar in some ways to the world's past reliance on Middle Eastern oil, with any stability on the island of Taiwan threatening to echo across industries. Companies in Taiwan, including smaller makers, generated about 65% of global revenues for outsourced chip manufacturing during the first quarter of this year. According to Taiwan-based semiconductor research firm TrendForce, TSMC generated 56% of the global revenues. So this is a huge number. Taiwan is to the world what the Middle East was in the 1970s. So the U.S., this is one reason, the U.S. cannot afford to let Taiwan fall into the hands of the Communist Party in China. There are also many other reasons why China knows better than to think the U.S. would abandon Taiwan in a time of need. Taiwan, as of 2018, was the 10th largest buyer of U.S. arms. They imported over $3.58 billion U.S. dollars worth of arms from the U.S. from 2008 to 2018. That made up 95%, over 95% of their arms buying for those years. For the year 2018, Taiwan purchased $129 million worth of American weaponry, and that made up 100% of their arms imports that year. So the U.S. is Taiwan's largest arms supplier, and Taiwan is a significant client of U.S. arms manufacturers. That's another reason. Okay, one more reason. The U.S. has a necessity. It's required to defend Taiwan due to the Taiwan Relations Act that was passed in 1979 by the U.S. Congress. And so President George W. Bush was asked back in April 2001, if Taiwan were attacked by China, do we, the U.S., have an obligation to defend the Taiwanese? Former President Bush responded, yes, we do. And the Chinese must understand that the U.S. would do whatever it took to help Taiwan defend herself. That's a direct quote from President Bush, even though at the time the U.S. had much friendlier relations with China. President Bush pointed out the U.S.'s obligation to defend Taiwan. And for its part, Taiwan has been building up its military for a long time. They've been preparing for this eventuality, the eventuality of China invading Taiwan. They have bought many different types of weapons from the U.S. They bought 60 Black Hawk helicopters from the Obama administration. They bought 2 Osprey-class mine hunting ships. They bought Harpoon Block II telemetry missiles. They bought 114 Patriot or PAC-3 missiles. They have a pilot training program with the U.S. at Luke Air Force Base in Arizona. They purchased 208 Javelin guided missiles. They purchased 769 Arrow missiles. And this is not all of the weapons they bought. This is just an example of the weapons that they bought from the U.S. to build up their defense. They bought 13 Mk-15 Phalanx Block IB Baseline 2 close-in weapon system guns. They bought 2 upgraded Oliver Hazard Perry class frigates from the U.S., 36 assault amphibious vehicles, and minesweepers. And this is just some of the weapons that they bought under the Obama administration. Under the Trump administration, Taiwan bought 16 Standard Missile 2 Block 3A all-up rounds, 47 Mk-93 Mod 1 SM-2 Block 3 guidance sections. They bought 168 Mk-54 lightweight torpedo conversion kits, 46 Mk-48 Mod 6 AT heavyweight torpedoes, 56 AGM-145C JSOW air-to-ground missiles, 50 AGM-88B HARMs, and 10 AGM-88B training HARMs. They bought 250 FIM-92F man-portable missiles, 108 launchers, 31 trainers. They purchased 66 F-16 CD block fighters, 75 F-110 engines. They've bought 135 AGM-84H standoff land attack missiles, slammers, 100 Harpoon coastal defense systems, capable consisting of up to 400 RGM-84L4 Harpoon Block 2 surface launch missiles, 4 weapons-ready MQ-9B remotely piloted aircrafts or drones. And under the Biden administration, they've purchased 40 M109A6 Paladin medium self-propelled howitzer systems and related equipment. So this is just, you know, the most recent arms purchases, and Taiwan also has a strong indigenous arms business. They produce some of their own arms. So Taiwan is not taking this sitting down either. They are not going to give up in the face of a Chinese invasion. They will fight. In a recent poll in Taiwanese media, a vast majority of Taiwanese said that they would fight to defend Taiwan if China were to invade. So this is a very, very, very different place from Afghanistan, and there's no comparison between the two. Taiwan has had a democracy for going on 30 years now.
So Taiwan is now a coward, as Biden said.
I don't think Biden said Taiwan is a coward.
No, Biden they say Afghanistan is a coward. That's why he didn't want to defend for them. I read the news today.
Okay, I haven't read that article, but I do know that Americans don't think Taiwan is a coward, and Taiwan has had a democracy for going on 30 years now. That's long enough to have a generation of adults in positions of power who have only known democracy and are willing to fight for their democracy. So a very, very different situation in Taiwan than in Afghanistan. So the idea that the U.S. would not defend Taiwan, or that Taiwan would give up in the face of a Chinese invasion, is ludicrous. Completely ludicrous. And another reason, and this is the last thing I'll talk about for the sake of time, but there are many different reasons why the U.S. would not give up on Taiwan. Taiwan has bipartisan support in the U.S. legislature, in the House of Representatives, and in the Senate. The U.S. has passed a slate of bills. According to the Voice of America, American lawmakers have introduced a flurry of bills in the past 2 years to improve Taiwan's defenses and raise its international exposure as legislators backed by President Donald Trump step up resistance against China, an old rival of Taipei. At least 5 pro-Taiwan bills have appeared in the U.S. Congress since February 2018, an unusually fast pace. Legislators influenced by a Taiwan lobby in Washington, as well as anti-China sentiments among American voters, have made the most of Trump's policy to get their bills signed into law, political observers believe. Trump's predecessors mainly focused on maintaining ties with Beijing. But that stopped with Trump, and the relations with China are still strained under Biden. We still have trade sanctions against China under President Biden. One of the laws that that Congress passed in favor of Taiwan was the Taiwan Assurance Act of 2019. It was passed by a unanimous majority in the House of Representatives, 414-0. That means every Republican and every Democrat voted for the bill. This is not a party issue. Americans agree that Taiwan should remain free. According to Rand Corporation analyst Derek Grossman, a remarkable streak of pro-Taiwan legislation continues. The journalist Jerome Taylor on Twitter said, "I hate to break it to Beijing, but Taiwan is about the only thing on Capitol Hill that seems to get unanimous bipartisan support." So Taiwan has bipartisan support in Congress, the U.S. Congress. Taiwan makes semiconductors that the U.S. desperately needs and relies on. Taiwan is willing to defend itself against an invasion from China. The U.S. has an obligation to protect Taiwan according to the Taiwan Relations Act of 1979. So I'm pretty sure China knows that the U.S. is not going to abandon Taiwan. So don't help it spread the fake news. Alright, thank you for watching Jason Adam TV. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. If you haven't, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and share the link. Bye-bye.